I think you guys just taught me the value of asking good questions. Both of you are voracious readers, so constantly just consuming knowledge. You guys raised me well. I mean, I was around good culture, good media. How many concerts did we go to? How many poetry shows, art gallery openings? I don't know what the rules are that I'm breaking. And I feel like that's really analogous to what I was doing, that it's weird to just walk into the factory unannounced and talk to the owners and say, give me the best price. You don't do that. That's a weird thing to do.
All right, everybody, it's Seano from the Seano Show. First off, I want to thank all the listeners. I really appreciate you listening. People ask me all the time, what can I do to help? Share the love, share the podcast, spread it around with people, and please subscribe. That would be very helpful. Please subscribe to the Seano Show. I'd be greatly appreciated. Today, we have a very special edition of the Seano Show. My next guest, this brother, channels at a very high frequency. He's running an international manufacturing company. He's doing great things in the world. We're going to talk about Wes Anderson. We're going to talk about Frank Lloyd Wright. We're going to talk about any generational trauma. We're going to talk about dropping out of Stern and our love for your mother, greatest mom in the world, and probably 1,000 other things. Son, Dylan McFarland, welcome to the Seano Show.
So good to be here.
You excited?
I'm so excited. A little nervous.
You thought about this a little bit. You were a little hesitant coming on.
It's for my dad, you know. It's like, it's one thing seeing the podcast on Instagram Reels, but being on it, I don't know. What are my friends gonna think? You know?
Yeah. Well, you grew up here.
I did grow up here. Yeah, right here.
Right here. This is a lot of magic here, man. Oh, I love you, son. Thank you for doing this. Huh?
Thank you for having me.
Okay. I was gonna go a little question here, right? I'm just gonna get right into it here with you here. And then let's see what drops in, because we're about jazz.
All about jazz. We're free flowing.
We're free flowers, right? Dome. I'll be Coltrane, you be Miles. All right?
Let's get it.
I'll be Kerouac, you be Ginsberg. All right, here we go. Here's the first one. You ready? Tell us about your insights growing up, being very familiar with sobriety. Me, you had aunt, uncle. You've been giving me cake since you were a baby, right? Being adjacent ringside seat to an extended 12-step community. What's that been like for you?
I mean, yeah, you're right. I've been around it since before I knew what it was. There's that meeting in the Palisades. I forget which one that is. I have early memories of being a little kid sitting in the back room with the bagels. It just felt like another thing. It was, once a year I'd give dad a cake. I'd get called in. But I think as I got older and I came to understand a bit more about what was happening in those meetings, it gave a different perspective. I don't know. Where do you want me to start on that?
Start with that. What was the perspective?
That my dad had an interesting upbringing that most dads maybe didn't have. That not everybody was going with their dads to give them a cake and celebrating however many years at the time it was. I thought every kid was going to their dad with an AA meeting. And realizing that wasn't the case was interesting. I loved the process. I think the standout thing was just the community of it all. I assumed you were best friends with everyone in those meetings. Everyone would come up to you afterwards, and you'd shake hands and go around and give people hugs. But then realizing that most of them were meeting you there for the first time, it was inspiring. It was inspiring to see the community building that went behind all of it. Shared mission, shared objective. Yeah.
Oh, right on. Oh, it's beautiful. And then let me ask you this, son. How did it influence your own attitudes towards drinking, drugs, personal choices as a teen, with alcohol, drugs, privilege? And did you have any fear that you might inherit the gene?
Putting me on the spot here. We don't want to
we're on the spot.
I definitely had a different perspective to it, I think. You run a sober living. I've seen the far end of where people end up. If anything, it just taught me to do those things responsibly. It was never a turnoff. It was never a living in fear of what could happen. It was more of a live in moderation type mindset. I think, I'm 21. I go out for a drink of beer, have beers in the office. And I feel like I was raised where I feel comfortable, where I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I've seen what happens when it's done wrong, and I can do it responsibly. So shout out to you for that.
There was never early on, going, I see what I don't, I know my dad, I don't want to play, I might have this thing, or no?
I mean, there was probably always a sort of back of mind worry. I'd hear about you going on these interventions for people my age, and I'd see the people coming in and out, and I'd be like, oh man, that's terrifying. But maybe when I was younger, there was a concern that I would end up like that. But I think, you put me in touch with good friends. I'm surrounded by people who are all responsible. As I got older, I was never really concerned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it. I think we should talk about your journey a little bit.
Oh, geez. What part of it?
Huh?
What part of it? What part?
Well, it's been pretty magical. I mean, not just because you're my son,
Sure.
right? But I would, we have to have some accomplishments to be on this show. You got to have
Let's
some
get it.
moves.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Let's get it, right?
Let's do it.
Let's get it, man. So you've always been insanely curious.
That is true. I will own that. I will own that.
Yeah. Talk to me about that.
A lot of it's got to go to Molly.
Just get right to the
Shout out my mom, best mom ever. Nicola Good, love you so much. I mean, little kid, she was taking me to fountains in Rome, architectural tours in the middle of Pittsburgh, taking me all over Miami, pointing out Art Deco fountains and just everything design and art related. She's an artist, for those of you who don't know. And she would just constantly, I mean, I was reading books, as you know, from young kid, and just reading books with my mom, reading books with you, traveling with you, both of you. I think you guys just taught me the value of asking good questions. Both of you are voracious readers, so constantly just consuming knowledge. You guys raised me well. I mean, I was around good culture, good media. Mm-hmm. How many concerts did we go to? How many poetry shows, art gallery openings? So I think it just took from my surroundings a little bit, just constantly asking questions. Too many questions sometimes, maybe, but yeah.
So at 14, you're at Crossroads. Nana.
Just going into Crossroads, I think.
Right?
I was just leaving John Adams and going to Crossroads, yeah.
And Nana, Nicola's mom, reads an article in the New York Times. Right.
My grandma found an article, a clipping in the paper, which is very common. She would send me stuff always. She was very insistent that I read this one. It was the New York Times was offering a program to send young teens interested in entrepreneurship to China. And my grandma said, you should apply to this. And so I wrote my application, submitted it, and that was the first time I went to China.
Yeah, but we thought you were going to be on the tour, but unbeknownst to me and your mother, you had some different ideas.
Right. We went to Shenzhen and to Shanghai. And in Shenzhen, I played hooky a little bit. I ditched the tour. And we were in this area called Huaqiang Bay, which is where all these electronics manufacturers are. I was just fascinated by these massive factories. So during lunchtime, I sort of snuck off and went to all these manufacturers and these stalls and just took pictures, asked them questions, and over Google Translate. And yeah, I mean, that set me on my path of just being like, wow, what is this world? This is fascinating. I need to know more about this.
Right. And you just, you had the balls to like walk in and just say, hey.
Yeah, I don't think there were many, these factory owners hadn't really seen another, curly headed American kid just like come in, walk on the factory floor and be like, hey, Wol Jiao Dylan, Wol Shi Meigoran, horrible Chinese. Tell me about what you're doing. And yeah, I formed from that 2 hours of sort of playing hooky, formed seriously meaningful relationships.
And you had an idea for something.
I did. I was really interested in harnessing manufacturing capabilities in East Asia. The first thing that I manufactured, I met on that trip a guy who was making jewelry. His name was Sven. And I started exporting gold and pearl jewelry to the United States.
And did quite well.
I will be humble about it, but that was probably, at the time, the most money I'd ever seen as a little kid.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And you were selling these necklaces all around the world.
I was selling these necklaces all around the world. It was the first job I ever had. I remember I launched an e-commerce business, ended up buying a stake in this factory in China and just growing it, and then hired some of my friends. We had a fulfillment center, and it sort of just grew overnight.
And how old were you when you bought the stake in the company? Or the
I was
factory?
16.
You were 16.
I was 16 because I remember it was right after I got my driver's license.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Now, so some people might think that's kind of amazing. I mean, you're right, huh?
Yeah. No, the love of it was not lost on me. I mean, I remember going from one night there'd be like 10 orders, and then the next night, 50, and then we're waking up to like, oh, it's our 3,000th order this day. Awesome. Just running and running and running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you do with all that money?
In retrospect, I spent a lot of it on fun trips with my friends, restaurants, art. But I invested a lot of it as well.
Yeah, I know you
bought a car.
Yeah. What kind of car did you buy?
It was a Tesla.
Yeah.
Tesla Model 3. It's cool back then. Yeah, and then invested it into what would end up becoming future businesses.
Got it. So you did that, then everyone kind of started ripping you off.
Right. My suppliers cooked me. My warehouse was holding inventory. I was getting, my payment processors were screwing me over. And so overnight we went from, you know, hundreds of orders an hour to then the business completely being shut out overnight.
Right. But you didn't hit the panic button. You were like, oh, right.
Did not hit the panic button.
Because we don't hit the panic button here.
Very, very rarely.
Yeah.
Very rarely. Yeah.
Yeah. And you pivoted.
Pulled back a little bit, looked at the market, was still really interested in making things in China, but wanted to do bigger than jewelry. As I said, you know, we love design here.
Yeah.
Started designing furniture.
Right. And so if I remember correctly, you know, COVID's on us, right?
Yep.
It takes 90 days to get a couch.
Yep. More.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, you had your own kind of shipping lines, right?
Yeah, I had partners, great freight forwarders in China, people who could help me get things through customs faster than a lot of other people. Sort of looked at the bird in hand and was like, I'm going to start selling couches from China in the US.
Very specific couches, mid-century couches.
Mid-century modern and postmodern, beautiful couches, great couches. Still have a few of them hanging around here somewhere. And yeah.
And that business took off.
That business took off. My partner at the time, I wouldn't say we were printing money, but it was close to it. It was close to it. It was amazing. I was going out to China, touring furniture factories, importing containers of beautiful furniture. It wasn't scalable. It was a lot of, you know, sell a sofa here, sell a sofa there. But at the time, I didn't know it, but it would set up pretty meaningful relationships that would then develop for future endeavors.
Okay. I remember, you know, we were a little name drop here. We went to Tony Robbins' house.
Of course.
Right?
That was crazy.
Shout out to Tony.
That was crazy, yeah.
What was crazy about it?
No, I mean, you see, this is for lack of a better word, a celebrity.
Yeah.
It's like, sit down from the guy.
He's a huge guy, right?
Literally.
And he knows a lot about you, right? And he's like, okay, Dylan, tell me your story, right? And you tell him kind of a version of this.
Sure.
And he knows exactly where you're at in China. He knows these factories.
Oh, you've been to Foshan. You know, Foshan, how was the food in Guangzhou? I'm like, oh, tell me the food was great in Guangzhou.
Yeah. But he also said, wait a minute, you're like 16 navigating. These are some tough waters. These are some tough cookies. And he was like, I don't understand how you were so fearless.
I think it's a little bit, I love to talk about this, but it's called, you know, the Seinfeld effect. When Jerry Seinfeld was making this TV show, they asked him, like, you know, you're breaking all these rules. Why are you not afraid of breaking all these rules? He's like, it's my first time making a TV show. I don't know what the rules are that I'm breaking. And I feel like that's really analogous to what I was doing. I don't know that it's weird to just walk into the factory unannounced and talk to the owners and say, give me the best price. You don't do that. That's a weird thing to do. I didn't know that. There was no other option for me. Going in and just like literally sleeping on the floor of the factory until the design's made right. Like normally you hire someone to do that type of thing. And so I think that I kind of just walked in there for all these people I was meeting overseas. And they were just so surprised. And they saw that I was earnest about what I was doing. I was being honest about the business I wanted to do. I was young and they took notice of that.
Where did you learn your insane work ethic?
Oh, obviously you. Not, I don't want to glaze or anything here, but no, that's you.
What'd you learn? Because one of the things is people want to know, like, okay, this Dylan guy, but how did you teach him? What did you do? So what did you learn from me about work ethic?
What time do you wake up in the morning? Let me ask you that.
4:30.
Yeah, there we go. Every day, right? 6 days a week, probably.
Yeah.
I was there when the alarm was going off at 4:30 in the morning, hearing you in the shower. Like, oh, my dad's going to work. You grow up with that every day. It just kind of becomes ingrained. You took me on a lot of your work trips. You shared constantly what you were doing. I think that I was never shielded to the type of work you were doing. I'd ask you, hey, how's that meeting going to go in Arizona? Oh, hey, when are you flying out to talk to that guy? Whatever happened with that story? And you would completely, within the confines of what you could share, completely open with everything you were doing. And so I think I sort of just mirrored alongside that and saw, okay, here's my dad. I look up to this guy who works for himself. He really doesn't take shit from anyone. I want to be like that.
Yeah, right on, man.
And I don't know, we're an entrepreneurial family. Mom is an entrepreneur, buying up properties. Like
everything's possible.
Everything's possible. You never told me, oh, that's a bad idea. That's not possible. It was always, okay, well, let's maybe start over here, but yeah, you could probably do that.
Yeah. So parents, one thing, and once again, I'm just, I got lucky here. And once again, big love to Nicola, but showing a genuine interest in your child and saying you can fucking do anything. You, of course, do not remember this, but when you were 2 hours old, the first thing I said to you everything is possible in this world.
I do not remember that.
You don't
but
remember
I'm so
that.
glad you said
But
that.
I know I said that to you. So I was grooming you in 2 hours.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know if the cameras can see this. I'm sitting here looking at behind my dad photos of us on planes everywhere. He's holding me on a Ferris wheel, traveling. Yeah, I was there. You were there.
The other thing too, and I give mommy a lot of credit for this because, you know, you were traveling on your own, you know, going to these places, you know, like, and we always knew you were going to be okay.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, I remember first trip to China by myself, truly by myself. I know I did the visa application and I'm going across the border and it's like 6 a.m. and my phone's not working. I'm thinking about you guys all the way across the world. And I was expecting, you know, to like, when I plug my phone in to get thousands of texts from you. Just one, I was like, hey, yeah, send photos when you get in. Have a good, like, it was, you were never really worried. It never felt like there was helicoptering. It never felt like you were constantly looking over my shoulder. There's just a good trust there.
Yeah, a lot of trust because you earned the trust.
Thank you.
And we believe, you know what, you're going to fall down and you're fucking learn.
Yeah.
We're just going to learn from it. And you made some mistakes.
I was a tree climber, you know, you
You're
fall
a
out of the
tree
tree, you
climber.
put some dirt on it, get back in the game.
So, okay. So you get accepted into Stern Business School.
NYU.
Biz Tech Entrepreneur Program.
BTE, the Kubani Business Tech Entrepreneurship Program.
Look at you, a little plug in for the Kabani family. Shout out to Andy Kabani.
Shout out to Andy Kubani, for real.
Beautiful brother. Been helpful. Yes, we love him, Andy. Not an easy program to get into.
No, not an easy program to get into.
Right?
Yeah.
You get in.
I get in.
You love it.
I go to, and I knew I wanted to go to school not in California. I wanted to go East Coast to get a little different experience, leave the nest. Yeah, toured NYU, thought it would be the right fit, moved out there. Couple of my friends from high school were there, and just immediately got into the New York grind. A little different than, you know, flip-flop Venice, California.
What was the New York grind like?
I mean, thankfully, again, we've been many a time before.
Many a times to New York.
So I felt like I had it down a little bit, but just the work mentality there was 10x. You know, I thought I was the shit in high school. Hey, I was selling jewelry, whatever. I did this. I was selling sofas, and I went there. I'm like, oh, cool. And this guy was selling, you know, hundreds of thousands of sofas, and this guy bought the jewelry company, and this guy did this. And suddenly it's like, okay, humbling moment. Let's lock in. We're around people who are a lot more impressive than you, but people who are a lot smarter than me. But it felt like a really good competitive atmosphere to just sort of grind the work ethic out.
So you're at this school, very rigorous program.
Yes.
And you're still doing your business.
And at the time, I'm still running the furniture import business. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you do your first year requirement in the dorms.
I do the dorms. My freshman roommate was put up with, you know, furniture deliveries coming in and out sometimes, like inventory being held. But yeah, I was there first year. Yeah, that was a major throwback.
Yeah, working on 2 hours sleep sometimes and doing we would just show up here no matter what, right?
We were there.
And then you're like, gotta get my own pad.
Yes, the small dorm was not cutting it.
Right. And with your own money,
you
get an incredible place in Chelsea.
I had the Chelsea loft, that place on the High Line. Beautiful apartment.
Right.
It's this old sort of, a lot of people didn't see the vision at first. It was this sort of dingy, old, renovated artist loft in Chelsea, but I found it, met the landlord, just negotiated, pestered her for months to let me move in. And yeah, that was it.
Talk about your love of riding bikes in New York City.
The city bike in New York City, it's probably the best thing about it. I grew up, you know, LA, driving cars. And when I got to New York, I realized I missed my freedom of driving. And so got my city bike membership, and I rode everywhere. I have to check my city bike, my app, but I have like thousands of miles logged on it. Central Park, up and down the West Side Highway, to class, away from class, to meetings. It's the best way to get around.
It's kind of your church. It centers you, right?
Yeah, seriously. It forces you to block out everything else.
How would you say, son, during all this process, you stay centered, you stay balanced, you stay in equilibrium?
I think that I was really regimented about the stress that I let into my life. I think there's a level of healthiness, a level of stress that's healthy. And so it's more just about choosing what to be stressed about. It's guaranteed that you're going to be working on hard things and things that you don't want to do. But if the outcome of those things you think are worth it, it never really felt like work to me. So just being really mindful of if I didn't like something that I was doing, stop doing it. I wasn't happy with where this was going, a class I didn't like, relationship that wasn't happy in, a job opportunity I didn't want to do, find something better and just cut it out as soon as possible.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. We cut
no time to waste on things that make you unhappy.
And one day you get a phone call from Y Combinator.
Right. That's the synopsis of it. I applied first.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't just reach out. That'd be crazy.
Tell the good folks what Y Combinator is.
Y Combinator is YC. It's a startup accelerator in the Bay Area. Basically, you can think of it as like summer camp for startups. They give you some money. A lot of pretty big companies have come out of them. Airbnb, Reddit, Dropbox, to name a few. They give you $500,000 and they say, come live in San Francisco for the summer. And we will give you all the resources to build a successful company. We'll invest in you, we'll take some equity, and we'll send you on your way.
But one of the requirements is you have to drop out of school.
Right. If you're in school, you have to leave college.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And that wasn't a hard decision.
No. My co-founder, Lev, one of my best friends, my roommate, my confidant, we started this together. While we were both working on other businesses, we met each other and decided to apply to this San Francisco sort of dreamy startup program. Got the interview, got in. They said on phone call, will you drop out of college? Instantly, yes. No questions asked. Called you right afterwards. Hey, leaving NYU, gonna move to San Francisco for a couple months. Heads up.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. We just saved $90,000. That was kind of cool.
Oh, awesome. Love that.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
But it was exciting because I really didn't know about that program, but I started calling my biz guys and they were like, are you fucking kidding me? Dylan got into fucking Y Combinator.
Yeah.
Because that's that's not an easy place to get into.
Admittedly, it's pretty competitive. It's pretty competitive.
So let's talk about your partner for a little bit. He's from Russia.
Yeah, Russia. Yeah, Lev Glushkovsky. Sing praise to this guy all day long. He's my co-founder at my current company. Met him at NYU day one, same program as me. He moved from Russia to the US in 9th grade. Didn't know anyone here. A lot of people like that would probably panic. He decided to start a business selling lightsabers, scaled that up to 20 employees, became one of the biggest companies selling lightsabers, made 8 figures of revenue, met me, and we said, hey, we've both been to China making things. Let's start a company that takes our experiences and grows it a little further. And
you're right. So what were lessons learned at Y Combinator? Now you're with some heavy duty folks.
Yeah. If I thought I was, imposter syndrome at NYU, now we're suddenly around. There was a guy in our batch who was like the guy who invented Google Slides for Google. We're around people, who are younger than me. We're happy with our little revenue numbers. Oh, cool. You guys made 20 million last month. Wow. What I'm doing is nothing. And so you're around these people, the math Olympiad geniuses, the MIT guys, everyone. But we had a really good, they're called your batch partner, but sort of like your advisor, Diana, who just really believed in us. And yeah, we had a really good mentorship.
Yeah. I mean, there was a guy there. What was he making for like the military? What was he?
You're around people who are making cruise missiles. Their companies are, it's like, hey, how are your meetings last week? Oh, awesome. We just signed with the DOD. We're going to send them 40 missiles. Oh, cool. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We had a couple meetings too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're around the best of the best. And it's just a relentless pursuit on iterating, figuring out how to kill ideas, how to go to market fast. Yeah.
So tell the folks about your company now.
Sure. So the company I run right now is built on this idea. We call it direct from factory commerce. Right now, most people in the US, you buy a product on Amazon, passes through 5 different hands before it gets to you, 5 different resellers. You're paying 700% more than it should be. We want to cut out every middleman for products in the US and buy them directly from the factories. So what we've done is we've built partnerships with all these factories that Lev and I have met growing up in China. East Asia, parts in the US, all over the world, really. And we're figuring out ways to get their products to consumers really quickly. And so if you have a product that you want to buy, why spend, $5,000 on a desk or something when we can get you the exact same desk from the factory for $300? And so we sort of want to position ourselves in this world of offering high-end products directly from the manufacturer.
Right. And it's going pretty well.
It's going pretty well. We went through Y Combinator, raised a second investment round, moved all of our employees to New York, got set up an office, have an office in China.
Yeah.
And it's been off to the races.
Yeah. And so you, how many employees you have now?
In the US, we have 8 people full-time. We have 6 full-time in China, plus interns in both.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done, son. You're putting people to work. I love it.
Feels good. Feels good. It feels good.
So, the climate right now around trade is interesting.
It's tough.
Yeah, right?
Unprecedented times.
Unprecedented times.
Sure.
Right? And you have to figure a few things out.
Always, you wake up and it's like, awesome, the tariff rate went up 3x today. No biggie. Have 8 containers coming across the border, but we're going to figure it out.
Right. So
yeah.
Let's talk about figuring it out a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Well, I want to know how in the fuck, when you got shipping containers going, right? And things change very quickly, right? And you got heat on you because these people are like, where is our stuff?
Yeah, I think it's knowing everyone's going to lose money. We just had to accept that, okay, let's not worry about losing money on this shipment. Let's build the best customer. Let's pay the tariffs. We'll pay it out of pocket if we need to. And let's just get the best customer experience for our customers, because if we do right by them, that relationship will far outlast however long these tariffs last. And so a lot of other companies were canceling orders for their consumers, saying, hey, sorry, the tariffs, whatever. We took a different approach. We texted all of our clients saying, hey, that sofa, we're going to personally lose $3,000 on it, but we're going to pay for it anyway. So we want you as a repeat buyer. And we've been seeing that pay off.
Wow. Beautiful. Okay. All right. Here, I'm just going to ask you some other questions here.
Let's switch it up a little bit. Pull out the sheet. Pull out the sheet.
Should I pull out the sheet?
Pull out the sheet.
All right. You're trading mid-century masterpieces around the world. What draws you to beauty, design, and history?
I think that's an effect of you taking me on so many trips when I was younger. Not even far away trips, but just, hey, this afternoon we're going to go to this museum. I don't know anything about it. Let's just go and see what's going on. Let's go see Alvin Ailey exhibit. Let's go see ballet. Let's go see, hey, there's something at the Getty right now. You want to pop over after school? Let's just go check it out. I think that mentality of let's just go check it out sort of instilled in me that curiosity of we were going to museum exhibits for things that we had no idea about and leaving like, wow, that was amazing. Or what the hell was that? And so, yeah, it just ties back to you wanting to show me the world. You've seen so much of the world and wanting to share it with me.
What was it like meeting Lin Morena backstage after Hamilton?
Oh, that was crazy. That's a major throwback.
Come on, brother.
I remember, we saw Hamilton, and you pulled me sort of along the side. We went into that back entrance, and boom, there was Lin. They say, he was my idol. Don't meet your idol, but it was awesome. Absolutely meet your idols. That was a great experience.
That was a nice moment, right?
Yeah.
What a beautiful guy.
Yeah.
You're very kind to you. You've had a lot of kind teachers.
A lot of the master classes.
With a lot of let's talk about master classes we've had.
Well, define for the audience what the master class is.
Master class is somebody who has had an extraordinary ability to do things inhumane and not possible. And they teach you their techniques, give you an insight into their brain and what they do. Right?
Yeah.
But we learned here in the McFarland family that we always value people's time.
Always.
So I taught you be 15 minutes early.
Always. If you're not early, you're late.
How to shake a man or woman's right hand, look them in the eye.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Follow up thank you note. And when you get prepared to meet somebody, have questions ready.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. No doubt for any of the listeners, right? You work with clearly very interesting people.
Yes.
I think that something I'm eternally grateful for is just sharing that network with me. Putting me in touch with business experts when I had, 14 with some horrible business idea that should be laughed at. You're like, no, talk to this guy about it. And they would give me advice on it.
Right.
And then when the ideas were a little more developed, putting me in touch with the right people, just constantly sharing the resources.
How about a shout out to Peter Diamandis?
Shout out Peter Diamandis.
Let's give him some love. What'd you learn from Peter?
Other than him helping me write my college applications, again, just the relentless pursuit to do things that people say aren't possible.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Here's the thing though, too. The buy-in with that is they're not going to hang out with you if you're not on point.
Yeah.
Because these guys are like, hey, we love your son, but sorry, he's not getting in MIT.
Yeah. Sorry,
I can't bring all these MIT guys if they're like, right?
Yeah. You have to, you got
to come with a fastball.
The Nepo only gets you in the door. I'll own that. Right. But you have to be interesting.
How do you be interesting?
I think you got to do your research on the people. Peter was an amazing, special person. The work he did with X Prize, doing the research ahead of time so you can match the person's conversation, coming in prepared, and then just being yourself. You have to be passionate about things. I think that comes across when we've hired employees. We've oftentimes hired the person who maybe has less accomplishments, didn't go to the A grade school, but if you can tell they're just passionate about the thing, you give that person the opportunity. That's, I think, being interesting. It's just really loving what you do.
Beautiful. Okay. Yeah, come on, man. Huh?
Come on.
Let's talk about our love of the ocean.
Oh, of course.
Where do you want to go? I mean,
I'm looking again back at the photos. There's us, Miami Beach. That's where I learned to swim.
Right.
First
on
ocean,
my back.
On your back. Yeah, you dipped me in. The ocean's a magical place for us. I think you talk about being centered. There's no better being centered than just a jump in the ocean.
Yeah. Would you consider yourself a spiritual person?
I would consider myself, I don't know. I don't know if I think I'm too young to put myself into a label. Definitely someone who believes in a higher power. I think there's too many interesting, good things happening in the world not to. Yeah, I would say I'm a spiritual person.
Well, we pray together.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
We say the Serenity Prayer together.
Know it well.
And we have, when we get a little overwhelmed, we say, can we say the Serenity Prayer together?
We'll hold hands before meetings, of course.
And that's a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah. No,
and what do you
completely.
get from that?
I mean, not to beat the dead horse here, but it's a centering for sure. It's a catching your breath moment. I think at the end of the day, something you've taught me and perhaps weaving into the spirituality is sort of knowing when to let go, knowing when you've done your best and it's just in whatever's hands now. Being able to say, okay, I did the pitch. I did my best. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. Whatever's happens, happens. And that's the moment of peace that comes, I think, after we pray or we go in the ocean or, yeah.
Yeah, we love the water together. It's
Love the water.
right?
Love the water.
We swam all around the world.
Truly.
Right?
All coasts, all oceans. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So let me ask you this, sir. Give me a lesson you've learned from failure that's kind of shaped who you are today.
Oh, great answer. So when Lev, my current business partner, before we got into Y Combinator, we had this idea for this business, connecting factories, whatever, and we needed some money to get it started. And so we're like, okay, we're going to go out to investors and we're going to raise some money. We had never done this before. We were at the time 19 years old. Maybe we just turned 20. And we make a list of, 130 investors that we wanted to reach out to. And we got 130 no's. Those are 30-minute meetings. So that's nearly, what is that? I don't know how many, 40 something hours of meetings.
All no's.
All no's, not a single yes. And we would get maybes and then more no's, in-person meetings, no's. And the idea never changed for us because we really believed in what we were doing. And we were like, you have to be a little crazy to hear 140 no's or 130, between 130 and 140 no's from people who know more than you or say they do and still think, okay, I'm right. And yeah, we didn't change our idea. And not to say that we were right, but the business is working. So I think a lesson from failure is knowing what to define as failure. For us, we didn't see it as our idea as a failure. We saw it as the market just isn't ready. We need to just show everyone else that we're right. So yeah, knowing when to stop and knowing when to just completely bet on yourself.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at you, man. Okay.
To be humble about it too, but if you believe in yourself, you got to take that bet.
Let's talk about believing in yourself. How does somebody believe in themselves?
I think that's a tough one because I've definitely believed in myself and then been wrong. I think that you can't look at it in the short term. You have to believe in yourself constantly and also be willing to learn from your mistakes. The 130 no's example is an extraneous example. There's been many times when I would have taken 130 no's and probably should have changed the idea. Yeah, I think it's just telling yourself that if I'm not going to do it, then who is? And if you believe in something, you have to envision it as, okay, I'm the one who has to do this. If not, it's not going to get done.
Oh, good for you, son. Yeah. Obviously I got the poster here. Our brother Ferris
Bueller.
But you've kind of taken it to a new level though.
Yeah, I remember watching that movie with you and just being a little kid and being like, I need to be him. That's just so cool.
Let me chuck a couple Ferris, you're dating a girl in Boston, right? And the favorite bagel she has.
This is true.
You take a helicopter.
Seaplane.
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 and bring the bagels to her. That's the kind of cat you are.
Yeah, that was fun. That
Right?
was fun. I did that. Yeah.
But you know what else I think is cool is Chewonki.
Yes.
Right? Talk about the bike.
I went to this, for those who don't know what Chewonki is, it's this like weird hippie boarding school in rural Maine. They do one semester, you go for it. This was during COVID. I went to it's like 300 plus acres of rural land in Maine. I went to the school, no internet. You go for like 4 or 5, 6 months. I forget how long. You're in the middle of nowhere studying marine biology. And I really wanted a bicycle out there, and there was a strict no bicycle policy. And so rather than listen to that, I smuggled in a series of bicycles from a nearby town, paying in Bitcoin, sneaking through the internet, gave coordinates. They brought these bikes in, and then me and all my friends, there's no way to get stuff into this place. So everyone knows what everyone else has.
So talk about coordinates, how difficult this was. How do you give coordinates to somebody to ship a bike?
We had 30 minutes or I forget how much time of internet on these computers. And now that I've left the school, I guess they can't really get mad at me for this, but I pulled up Google Maps, found coordinates, put out a Craigslist ad, found a guy who had a bunch of old bikes and thought I was crazy. I was like, yeah, let's make this happen. Delivered these bikes to a tree in the middle of the night, did a little dead drop thing. And then a couple weekends later, we had these bikes under tarps and we would ride them around at night. And then one day we were like, what are they going to do? And so my friends and I rode bikes during the day. And there was sort of this mass pandemonium of, where the hell did you get bikes from? And it's like, it just kind of showed up one day. I don't know. They was in the forest. Yeah. And I was the kid who got bikes onto the campus where they said no bikes.
That's a great story, man.
So I wrote my college apps about that. Right? Shipping and logistics, right?
Shipping and logistics, right?
There we go.
When are you your happiest?
Definitely when I'm working, particularly working with people that I really like. I think that I've been a solo founder and I've been a founder with other co-founders, and I will always choose working with other people. I think about this past week, some of the happiest moments have been with Lev, me, our developers, office, 3 a.m., just grinding out code and just working, and sort of that 3 a.m. harmony moment of like everyone's at their desk working, headphones on, sort of just looking up and seeing like, oh man, this is the team. Like we're all in this shared mission. So yeah, definitely happiest when working alongside people with shared objectives.
Is there anything that you've learned from me that you don't want to replicate?
That I don't want to replicate?
Yes, or that you're like, Dad, this is okay.
Where do I start?
Yeah.
Where do I start? Well, things that I don't want to take from you.
Yeah.
I love you so much. I'm going to preface with that.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I think there are lessons in patience, perhaps sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen you, on one hand, I can say you get things done quickly, but on the other hand, I can say I think sometimes always not the most patient. Maybe it's like a long museum line or other lines at the airport, perhaps, or a long line at a coffee shop.
Yes.
So I think I have sort of, as you know, maybe a more Buddhist Zen-like approach towards waiting and patience in general. But no, I'm joking about that partially. There's not much that I don't want to take from you. Yeah, I struggle to think of things where I'm like, oh, I really don't want to be like that.
I love my dad, but the one thing, okay,
patience
I
is
can
it.
take it. I can take it.
Let me get back. I'll find a list. We can talk about it at dinner tonight. But
we'll talk about it at dinner. No, I should have said.
No. I feel good about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So this just dropped in. There's been, I didn't tell you my whole story about my life because I didn't think it was appropriate.
It's currently or
no, when you were younger. Obviously.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's unraveled over the years.
Right?
Sure.
And as time would go on, you would get older, more mature. I would tell you things.
Yeah.
And then we took a trip to Scottsdale, Arizona.
I remember.
And I took you to 3500 North 75th Street.
I remember parking, getting out, and the unexplained, hey, where are we going? Oh, I'm going to show you something.
And do you want to walk the audience through what happened that day?
You can tell it better than I can, and I don't want to misremember details.
I, for whatever reason, I felt you were old enough for me to say, this is where I got kidnapped at.
I remember walking before you told me, through, I totally remember that through the grass between the apartment buildings. And you're like, I used to play over here. It was visceral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were, you were so kind.
Yeah. No, I mean, how could you not be? The most like powerful guy in my life, my dad. Such a level of vulnerability right there.
Yeah. It didn't scare you. I just wanted you to know this is where I came from. And just, I'm just so blessed that you're alive and we're doing great things together.
I felt honored that you showed me then. And I also just felt so alien to me that could happen, which I think is probably the result of you being a good father, is that I, as your son, can't comprehend something like that happening.
Yeah.
Like that, I just couldn't imagine that. That feels so removed from the life that I live. And so props to you for creating that safe environment. I mean, we ended it. That was it.
And we ended it.
Yeah.
We fucking ended it, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, straight up.
Seriously.
Yeah, I always talk about this. One of my stats that I'm very proud of. You've never seen me higher drunk.
It's true.
You've never had to visit me in prison.
Nope.
You've never had to deal with some fucking shenanigans. I just show the fuck up for you all the time.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Always.
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 And
never a miss.
Never a miss. You've been to how many Legoland trips, 3rd grade choir performances. Dad, could we go to the trampoline park again? We went 3 days ago. Could we still go? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Constantly. Always there.
But I think probably the biggest thing is go, son. Go do your thing, man.
Yeah.
Go fly, brother.
Yeah.
Just go do it. Of course do it.
At Coachella, I remember you, hey, I'm going to go, and just you pushing me off. Yeah, go run around. Go
run around. Get lost.
Go trust. There was a trust there.
Yeah, that was kind of a magic moment. How old were you when that happened?
Well, the first time we went to Coachella, I was in 5th grade.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was that time.
No.
The second time we went when I was in middle school.
Right.
Yeah, you were like, yeah, go to your EDM stuff. I'm gonna go over here. But
yeah, we had that was kind of like you. That's when I realized, like, yeah, because we're backstage, and you're like, you got on a golf cart and said, "Dad, I gotta go."
I gotta go. I mean,
and it's like, okay, here we're now at that thing.
Yeah,
we're at that point, right?
Meet you at the Sahara tent at 7.
Talk about your love of jazz.
Love jazz. I think Nana and Papa, my grandparents, my mom's side, huge musicians growing up in this. They just, for them, they just had so many records that then they passed down to me. Listening to Love Supreme constantly when I was growing up, Coltrane, all of it. Listening to contemporary Norwegian jazz. Just, I love the freeformness of it. It's what I grew up listening to. It's what I put on when I need to de-stress. It's what I put on when I'm on the plane coming back from New York. It's what I listen to at home. It's playing in the office. I think I owe it to, it's what was available listening to. When I first got my first record player, I only had jazz records. And so I grew up with it. Yeah.
Let's talk about Frank Lloyd Wright.
Frank Lloyd Wright. Where do you want to start?
Where do you want to start?
Falling Water, one of my favorites. Love architecture. Where
are we going tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're going to Tallahassee.
What is Tallahassee?
It's one of the desert properties he created in Arizona. Beautiful.
And I've been taking you since you were little.
Since I was a little kid, pointing out the windows, the details, how we designed the furniture to match this.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where he had the vision for the Guggenheim.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Love architecture.
Let's keep going. Inspiration. Who's big inspiration? Books, mentors.
That's a good question. It goes back a lot to architects. Corbusier, crazy madman of an architect. Probably shouldn't be looked to too much as an inspiration, but I like people who execute their visions. Looking at musicians, Frank Ocean. I mean, perhaps again, not as a inspiration as an individual, but just as someone who's relentless to their craft and a perfectionist. You consistently. Yeah, where do we even start? It's hard.
Duh, it's hard. Yeah. I didn't know. I just was coming what came to mind. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else we draw from.
Wes Anderson.
Oh my God. The Mecca.
Brother Wes.
The Mecca. Talk about someone who's created just such a visual language.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cliche, right? It's like, who's on your letterbox? Oh, Wes Anderson. But it's what we grew up with. Fantastic Mr. Fox, top 1 movie ever.
Right.
Yeah. No other way about it.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of movies together.
A lot of movies.
Now that you're a young grown man, what's one thing you wish more fathers told their sons?
I mean, again, you've said this before, but I believe in you, go do it. I think I'm grateful how close a relationship we have. And I see especially a lot of my guy friends who don't have as close relationships with their fathers. You were extremely affectionate. It's hugs to the point where I'd be like, oh my God, this guy in public. But I love that. Hug your kids, guys. Dads, hug your kids.
Yeah, hug your kids.
Yeah, like give your kid a hug.
Love. Right.
Give them some love.
Touch is important.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I mean, just how many times we dap each other up and just like laughing constantly, laughing with your kids, hug and laugh your kid, hug your kids, laugh with them. I think the rest comes naturally.
Yeah, you know what just came to mind, son, was, you were a pretty good athlete one time.
One time.
Right? No.
Also, I'll hit a sub 5 minute mile right now.
Okay. And you had quite a jumper.
That is true.
You had to make a decision whether it was that or business.
Right. Yeah. And I chose not to pursue basketball further.
And I didn't say like, no, you're to play back. No, find out what they love to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Granted, also, I mean, if I was like a D1 prospect, you probably should have pushed that.
Yeah, I should have pushed that.
I think I kind of peaked out at like 5'9". But yeah, still, I chose to stop doing basketball, and I think you were so supportive of, okay, well, whatever it is,
You got to get into it though. If you're not going to play hoops, then you better grind hard in this.
I have very few memories of stern conversations with you, but one of them was, post basketball. I don't know if you remember this, but it was it was like, if you don't want to do basketball, whatever you do, you have to bring that level of energy, because no son of mine's going to, be playing Xbox all day at home. And if he is, he's going to be really, really good at that, and he's going to figure out how to make money off of it. But yeah, you were really pushed me to be relentless at my passions.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What's a message you'd give to young people listening right now, especially those trying to find their rhythm, their purpose?
Yeah, I think there is no better time than now to do things. The internet, AI has made everything more accessible. You can start a business right now with no money. I would say learn a skill more than anything that you're passionate about. If you go into something with just the sole intent of like, I'm going to make money off this, I don't think you will ever truly hit stride. I think it's good to find an interest, develop a skill to support that interest, and then figure out how to monetize it. And yeah, find community too. It's hard. While the internet does make things smaller, it's also harder to find community. So surround yourself with like-minded people. That's what I did. And it never really felt like work after that.
It never feels like work, huh?
It doesn't. It's yeah.
You live in China, you live in San Francisco, you live in New York, you're 21 years old. It's kind of what's up with that?
Yeah, it's cool. I think I will have maybe more respect for it when I'm older. Not that I don't now, but right now it's really fun. I get to see and do new things every day. I'm going to Hong Kong in a few weeks, going to stay there for, I don't have a return flight. I don't know how long I'm going to be there. Going to San Francisco on Monday. I'm just really grateful. I created a job that gets to take me to interesting places, and that's kind of all I could ask for.
What is your favorite trip that we did?
Going to the wedding and Lake Como was pretty epic.
When I officiated the wedding?
When you officiated the wedding.
Riding scooters? Riding
the Vespas around Lake Como. All of our trips to San Francisco were, I think, formative, in more ways than I understood. Going to Muir Woods with you, as you know, was epic. Going to Art Basel in Miami with you. Even just our road trips to Joshua Tree. I would honestly say our road trips to Joshua Tree.
Oh, wow. Right.
Just a little weekend getaway. Nothing fancy.
Just me and you.
Me and you. Yeah, a little hangout, pal around, look at some architecture, see some art, have a good dinner, drive back the next day, drop me off at school. You showed me you could just do things. I was like, hey, how about I pick you up from school and we just go and do this afternoon? I'm like, yeah, okay, spontaneity. That's what you taught me, spontaneity.
If you can remember, what's been the toughest day of your life?
The toughest day of my life. I try not to think about those too much, and I feel like I haven't had one in a while. Every day is tough, and there's always a headache, and a shipment got sent to the wrong country or something horrible happened, and I'm sure my phone's probably ringing off the hook. But the toughest day, I think it was in between businesses. I remember once, after the jewelry thing died, and before I started the furniture business, I started having a lot of time on my hands, and nothing was really clicking. I remember driving up PCH to the 23 highway, and so I was like driving up there and looking. It was like my inspiration ground, and just sitting up there like with my notebook trying to write down ideas and not being able to think of like what the next idea was, and feeling like you're on like the end of sort of the creative journey where there's no clear next step. That was a tough time. I just couldn't find an idea that I wanted to work on, and I would, in retrospect, choose a day with 500 missed calls and emails and stuff going wrong than a day with like nothing happening at all. Need a problem in front of me. Need something to do. So not have anything to do was a tough time.
Scary, right?
Yeah, it's scary. It's like, who am I? I need something.
Africa.
Rwanda, Uganda.
So this is a trip that I did before you. I would go to Rwanda. I'd work with genocide survivors, and then I went to northern Uganda and work with children's soldiers. It's a very difficult trip.
It's not an easy trip, no.
To get there is a day. It's going to very remote places at times by van. It's hot, it's bumpy, it's funky, right? And you went.
Yes.
And you never complained once.
No. I mean, how can you complain when you're talking to someone who was, given like an AK at 14 and told to become a soldier? It's like, hey, I have blitzers on my feet. You don't really want to say that when you're around someone whose life is 5 paradigms different than yours.
What did that trip teach you, son?
The world is a lot bigger than I thought.
Amen.
Puts problems into perspective. And we met some really beautiful people out there. People who orphaned, had gone through hell and back, and were still waking up in the morning, working out, going to work. And so, yeah, not to just look at it as like, oh man, the world is so crazy. Those people are, living such horrible lives. But it gave reaffirmation of sort of like the human spirit. It's unbreakable. You can just go and do things regardless of how messed up it is. Like there's always hope. People can still do things.
We got access to a very remote village that had a lot of children that were doing, were asked to do horrible things. They've never seen somebody your age.
Yeah. That was interesting.
No one's ever come out there your age.
I remember Lyra.
And they were scared of you.
Yeah, I also had braces and looked a little funny. But,
they're kind of, it was really interesting, right?
No, and I was like scared too. That was interesting. I don't think I'll ever forget that trip.
So a nice moment about that. So, a lot of people that do go out to those countries, they try to teach them Christianity and different things. And
preachy.
Very preachy.
Yeah.
And we don't preach.
No.
And I knew that method would not be. And so what we did is we blasted fucking James Brown.
Yeah. And you shamelessly brought the little beat speaker out and a Frisbee and like a Nerf football. And you were just dancing and
with the kids.
Goofing
and we
around.
had a fucking blast.
Oh, it was awesome.
And we had a little parade.
Yeah.
And everyone was around us. And that was a real beautiful moment, man.
Yeah. You were like, tall white guy willing to just make love you, complete fool of yourself.
Right.
In the most beautiful way. And it was like, hey, if I can be funny and laugh, everyone else can. And you just totally broke the mold.
Broke the mold.
That was
That's
awesome.
what we do. Final thoughts? Anything else you want to say?
Just really happy to be here. This is great. This is just, my dad and I just talk like this all the time. This just feels like we're back in the living room, like rehashing it
Hanging out our drives on PCH.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All the airplane rides, all the good things.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too.
So much. Yeah.
That's my dad.
Huh?
That's my dad right
my
there.
My boy. And once again, to all the listeners, thank you so much. Please subscribe. Please
subscribe. He really likes this podcast. He's really passionate about it.
I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah.
Okay. The Seano Show is a production of iHeart Podcasts, hosted by me, Seano McFarland, produced by Pod People and 28th Ave. Our lead producer is Keith Cornelick. Our executive producer is Lindsay Hoffman. Marketing lead is Ashley Weaver. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.